Imagine a world that your feeble mind couldn't even imagine.
Now, what I'd like to point out about this is the title. Okay, first of all, two major issues. Number one, you're inviting us to imagine a world that we can't imagine because we are so retarded.
Which is the big problem with this title.
Regardless, alright. Issue. Second, the fact that he feels entitled to call our minds feeble. Now, I'm not brilliant. I'm never going to make it into Mensa. I can't speak for Dave. I don't know how he feels about himself, but I will never make it into Mensa. But I'm pretty sure my mind can comprehend whatever E-Fetti is going to tell me.
People riding hamburgers, dogs and cats living together, people with hands on their legs and feet on their arms.
You're absolutely right, Stephen Hawking. You're absolutely right. My feeble brain cannot comprehend the world that you imagine. You're absolutely right. E-Fetti? Not so much. I'm pretty sure that I can imagine this. So, we're gonna go in.
Yes, this is the free sample on Amazon, so no copyright infringement here. This is fair use for criticism.
We'll say right now that it's an extremely long excerpt.
Let us begin with the idea that a lot of books will open with a quotation from, a famous writer or whatever. This book starts with a quotation from the author himself. Oh, so humble!
Yeah. I look all around me. From horizon to horizon.
Alright.
Doesn't make sense, dude. There's only one horizon. As far as my eyes can see, and I'm not...
Your eyes can see from horizon to horizon.
And I'm not impressed by what God has created.
Yeah, fuck that shit.
I'm impressed by the fact that he sat down and thought of all of this. Now, hashtag E-Fetti is an atheist. Because... I'm not impressed by what God has created. I'm impressed by the fact that he sat down and thought of it. That's like me saying, take a 2,000-page book. Let's take Stephen King's It. Let's say I didn't enjoy the book It. That would be me saying, well, I don't really enjoy the content of the book, but I am impressed by his ability to write 2,000 pages.
I would say God made an omelet, and you're not very impressed with the omelet itself, but you're impressed that he thought of the idea of perhaps making an omelet.
So, already we start out with pure, arrogant speech. But it gets a hell of a lot worse.
Let's just skip the acknowledgement, I don't...
Yeah, it's not worth anything.
I'll read this first one.
Alright.
I see myself different from others. Not physically, but mentally. Physically, I'm just like everybody else. But mentally, I'm far from everybody else. Oh, he's so humble. I'm not saying that I'm smarter than everyone else, because I'm not, no comma there. For me to be smarter in knowledge would mean I would have had to learn more.
Sorry, there are occasions where our brains do try to correct his speech.
I couldn't care less. I couldn't care less about who is the smartest man on this planet, because your knowledge is just earthbound in what other earthbound people thought and think of. What? I'm different from you, because my imagination is unique. So fuck you, the reader who has bought my book. A big difference between this world and mine, because I live in my own world, crazy freak, is that the world imagines a better world. Alright, something world. And better place to live in, besides the world what I live in. I imagine another world, a world that exceeds the limits of your imagination. A world that your feeble mind couldn't even imagine. Oh, and yes, this is where he imagines his funeral, and
I get to read his funeral!
The humility just drips off the screen.
Yeah, there's one thing we can say about E-Fetti. He is a humble man.
Not a smidge of narcissism here.
My funeral was amazing. So many people showed up. Even people who I didn't even think were going to show up came. Yep.
So if you take out that middle clause there, it's my funeral was amazing, so many people showed up, came.
They had to hold my funeral inside the Altel Pavilion in Raleigh, North Carolina, because my church wasn't big enough.
Oh, still.
The bishop still hosted my funeral, and it was marvelous. The best funeral I have ever seen, because he's attended so many and judges them on a scale. It's like, is he attending, you know that show 4 Weddings? Is he attending like 4 funerals?
E-Fetti, I'm gonna let you finish, but Michael Jackson had the best funeral of all time. All time.
Yes, the best funeral I've ever seen. And it kind of reminded me of Michael Jackson's funeral. My whole city was quiet. They mourned for me, and some prayed for me. And
I like that all mourned, but only some prayed.
And today the whole world was silent. The whole world was silent for
Little
E-Fetti.
children in South Korea.
Yeah, all silent.
Old people in Moscow, everyone bowed their heads, and they missed the great loss that was the death of E-Fetti.
Oh wait, we're not done. Oprah sat in the first row beside my mom and held Mama's hand while Mom just kept crying. I like that he anticipates that he's going to die very young. Because Oprah's in her 50s, so maybe 60s? I'm not sure how old Oprah is, but at least in her 50s.
Also, I like the fact that Mom not capitalized. Mama capitalized. Mom capitalized.
I was placed in a gold casket, because I can't think of any other great use for our gold.
I like that he puts himself on the level of King Tutankhamun.
Yeah, well, now we know where all that jewelry they melt down when you send your things into cash for gold is going. It's going to E-Fetti's coffin there. And it was carried out by my brother, sisters, and my 4 best friends. As they carried my casket out, the crowd started to weep. Like,
oh, Kim Jong-il!
the great leader! Roofie and...
Not roofie. Ruthie.
Oh.
Roofie. Roofie is a drug that someone who kind of looks like E-Fetti might use one day.
Yeah, I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry. Ruthie and Kid Jesus...
Or possibly Jesus, I don't know. Or Jesus as a 12-year-old.
I don't know. Were in front along with Kiana and her daughter, Dwayne Carter, and beside Michael Jordan and Muhammad Ali. And they all
took time out of having Alzheimer's to
to attend the funeral. And they all were seated in the front. All 3 of them were my role models when I was growing up. My casket was an open one, and everyone cried when they walked past my casket. Some kissed me on my forehead, while others touched my hand, and the entire Helping Hand Mission marching band played for me. They also played my song that I had composed 2 years ago called No Tears at My Funeral.
So he specifically dies 2 years after writing that song, which, if this book came out in 2011, I assume is already past.
And Jennifer did the honors of reading this poem I had written. And it reads...
Oh, yes. Imagine, if that other poem I read wasn't enough. Imaginary King. What if you imagined you were a king? Just so... you could overcome your problems today. When the sun rises in the morning, your problems whisper, checkmate there, king, checkmate. It's not fair, semicolon. It's not fair, you yell. But no, quotation marks, it's not fair, you yell. Don't yell at me. With tears pouring down your face. Sacrificed your castle tonight, and tomorrow it's checkmate for king, checkmate. You scream for your bishops, you order them to guard your place. They all fall into the hands of your enemies. Checkmate, dear king, checkmate. Your knights run out to the fight, bravely, not knowing their fate. Now their blood is on your hands. Checkmate, poor king, checkmate. The enemies surround your palace, no longer your place. You send your pawns through the bloody gates. They all fall one by one. Checkmate, dear king, checkmate. You do not know what to do. You order your queen to stay. Chose to die by her hand instead. And she says, checkmate, wise king, checkmate. And the book proper.
Which we start with, I assume is the first chapter here, or maybe it's just all of it. I'm not even sure there are chapters.
Yeah, it just seems to be broken up by page breaks. But I mean, this is just an ebook, so I don't know about the format, but anyway.
Alright, so we're at the book proper. Imagine a world that your feeble mind couldn't imagine.
In case you forgot the title between now and then.
Albert Einstein once said, imagination is better than knowledge because your imagination has no limits. Well, I'm a living witness that your imagination could be the worst thing God created. Hashtag E-Fetti is an atheist.
I remember back in elementary school when I stood there as a short brown-skinned kid that was from Africa. I remember our teacher asking us what we wanted to be when we grew up. Students all down the line came up with different answers, but yet so similar. Some wanted to be firemen. The girls wanted to be ballerinas.
Which are not similar. Ballerinas and firemen are not similar.
I guess similar to themselves and or to gender, but that's not really clear grammatically. And almost all the boys wanted to be basketball players, except the ones who wanted to be firemen, unless girls wanted to be firemen. But me! Emil, what do you want to be when you grow up, my teacher asked. A bum, I replied while the whole class laughed. Knowing in my heart I wanted to say a police officer or even the President of the United States of America. Then why didn't you say those? Why did you choose to say bum? That's not no one's fault but your own.
Yeah, that kind of reflects poorly on your judgment already.
I will never forget that day, and if I ever see that teacher, again, I would ask her, how did I go from being a bum to taking over the whole world? Well, she would probably look at you confused because you have not taken over the whole world. You sell t-shirts at a kiosk in the mall.
Alright. Whatever you imagine in your head, so shall it be. You can be and do anything, and all you have to do is imagine.
I think John Lennon might have said that.
From preschool to the 2nd grade, I have always looked down on myself. I hate to say he kinda had good reason.
How do you look down on yourself?
I don't know. My peers picked on my family and I. They laughed at me in my face!
Inside of my face! They crawled into my mouth and laughed at me!
As well as behind my back. We're not doing that right now, E-Fetti. We're laughing at you in your face. I was the African kid, the slave boy, the different child. Now, here's the thing. Alright, okay. He's writing that he's lived in Raleigh during this time, and Raleigh has a fairly diverse population. So the chances are that he was not the only African-American child in school. So why he would be picked out as the slave boy, and also
So who calls people slave?
and doesn't get reprimanded. But anyway, even though I was growing up exactly where they were, I was living in the same bad neighborhood, and I was exposed to the guns and drugs just like them.
Yeah, unless you, also, as speaking from people living in Raleigh, unless you live near Shaw University where people fight in line for chicken, that's a YouTube video, go ahead and search it, Raleigh is pretty damn safe.
It really is. The only bad area of Raleigh really is near Shaw University.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we have a quote here. So why do y'all... That is not how you spell y'all.
That's Y''ALL and you all. But y'all is as in a shawl.
Yep. So why do y'all hate me so much? How can a first grader come out from school with tears in his eyes? Not from a bad day at school, but because every day was a bad day. Which means that...
bad day at school today, but because every day was a bad... But it was a bad day, so you are crying because it's a bad day, but every day is a bad day, so you're not crying for, brain hurting.
Oh, God, just don't think about it, And because it seemed every day that goes by, it just gets worse. Those first couple of years of my...
No, couple years.
Oh, sorry.
Never mind. Oh, I know we're trying to...
my brain.
I know we're trying to copyright it as we speak, but no, those first couple years.
Sorry. Those first couple years of my life were the worst. That's why I can never forget them. I can tell you about them word for word. I honestly believe that those years damaged me.
Those years word for word, because those years were our words on a page, but not what I lived.
And I can remember every single word that was ever spoken ever. I honestly believe that those years damaged me mentally. We kind of think so too. Because now I don't need anybody. Hashtag. Hashtag E-Fetti's an atheist. Sometimes I don't think I even need God.
I think I don't even need God.
Look. Sometimes I think I don't even need God. All I need is my imagination.
Now, I understand if he's talking about young E-Fetti and that he changed his ways, then he should not be using the present tense for this whole goddamn thing.
Yeah.
It makes it very confusing and makes us think that, no, this is Cartman on the South Park episode with Faith Plus One, that he's just jumped on the Christian bandwagon to sell things to fools, and he doesn't actually believe anything. It's just that it's easier to sell religious stuff than drugs. I remember this one kid named Purvis, as would I. I would always know a kid named Purvis. I don't remember his last name, but he was a real good basketball player. And he was my friend at the time. Or associate, whatever you wanted to call him.
My friends and associates.
But he used to pick on me as well. I know, you're probably thinking, what type of friend is that? Although I never did let it show that I cared, but I did care a whole lot, more than anybody would ever know. I would always hide it because I imagined a world that they could never imagine. What? What? That's a non sequitur. I hide it because I imagine things they can't, so that's a reason to... As much as I attempted to cover it all up, I felt every little thing and every single word hurt me.
Every single one. The, a, bathroom. They all hurt.
As a child, I learned to hide my feelings real well. My friends and associates now will say I learnt too well. Yes, I'm sure you did learnt quite a lot. God.
Yep, learnt right there for those of you who are reading along.
I learnt too well, my friends and associates. What's the difference between a friend and an associate, E-Fetti? Could you tell us that? I remember one day Purvis asked me, Emil, my mom was telling me about this kid that killed himself because everybody kept picking on him at school. I hope you're not going to do that, even though I pick on you.
And also, the use of the question mark right here makes this read as, I hope you're not going to do that.
You're not going to do that?
Yeah.
You know, with an upward inflection.
Yeah, implying that he does want him to kill himself.
I smiled at him and brushed it off. I sat back and thought about it hard. Am I going to kill myself? They must know that their words hurt, and they must know that the things they are saying can force somebody to do the unthinkable, like kill themselves. So why do they continue? My mom always told my siblings and I this one saying, stick and stones may break your bones, but words will never hurt you. Yes, your mom certainly did tell you cliches that everyone could say. How I long for that to be true, Mom, and how I would rather have my bones broken by sticks, plural, than have my life ruined by words. We humans do things to each other for reasons that can't be imagined whatsoever. We just do it.
That's not true. There's a whole psychology behind why humans do what we do. But, whatever. We're back up there. Let me try to paint a picture for you. Like Shepard Smith. You've seen a lot of movies about kids coming up in bad neighborhoods who just has it rough.
Who just has it rough, man. I has it real rough.
Well, I used to ask myself, why? Why do you all show their hard lives on the television all the time and my life is 10 times harder?
Why do you all? Television.
And also, if they're showing hard lives, then those kids do also have hard lives.
Why is no one showing up to my doorstep to make TV shows about me?
Oh, the ego. I was a first... And also, sometimes also on TV they show documentaries about, I don't know, starving people in, like, North Korea.
Working in the salt mines.
Working in the salt mines. Dude, they have it a lot worse than you do. Anyway, I was a first grader and I got picked on every day. There might be reasons for this, dude. My sisters got picked on, and I hated to see them picked on. Whatever they did, whether it was right or wrong, the heat always fell back on me. So if they get picked on, then that means that you're getting picked? I don't get that.
But they take the blame.
I don't know. I got picked on because my two sisters weren't attractive to our peers.
Aha! Your sisters are ugly, so I'm going to make fun of you.
And I got picked on because I wasn't attractive to my peers.
Aha! I'm not gay.
We got talked about because our clothes weren't the same. Like, we didn't all wear the same clothes. And because all we could afford were cloths.
We're free cloths.
Oh, I'm sorry, because all we could afford were free cloths given to us from different charity programs.
Oh, the cloths.
No, not the free cloths. I got picked on because my shoes weren't of a branded name. Branded. The other kids from my same neighborhood taunted me. There is a time in life...
My same neighborhood is redundant, but...
There is a time in life when one must say he's done. And my time just happened to come a little early.
Much like your father probably did.